to the devs, and we've seen so many different games today. But what about furry games? No, I'm just kidding. This is Overhours by CTRLD Studios, studios based here in Southeast Asia. Today I have Swan as well as Joshua, and we went karaoke last night after we met each other initially at Level Up KL. And I have a lot of questions about this game. So, guys, why don't you guys introduce yourselves a little bit more and where your studio is based?
Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Swan, I'm the co-founder, and this is Joshua. So basically, how I explain our roles usually is that I am the face and I handle everything in the front, so social media, marketing, and I'm also the creative lead. Basically, he is our developer, programmer, and he makes sure that nothing falls apart in the background. Yep.
That is fair. That is fair. So can you share with us a little bit more about what Overhours is about?
Okay, so basically Overhours is an isometric action tower defense game.
Okay.
It plays like an isometric shooter with tower defense elements. And it's basically about, you play as a new member of a time security agency, and you're now on your first job to try and protect one of the time reserves in a dystopian world. Yeah. So in that world, like, time is the currency, and the time is liquid gold, basically. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit hard for me to describe how time can be currency because it's not really tangible to all of us. And how exactly is the mechanics of the game like?
Basically, okay.
I think we should play the game.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we should play it. Let's just head into that. We already have the game up here, and Joshua will be the one doing that. All right, here we go. We have our characters, and there is a reason why I say this is a furry game, okay, guys? For you guys at home, if you can see, the characters are all either dogs or cats or owls. I call it an owl-cat game at first, and they are all surprisingly attractive humanoids, which is why I mentioned that. Was that intentional?
Okay, so like, a lot of people have asked us, like, how did we come up with the characters, right?
Yeah.
And when we were first coming up with the concept, it was like, it was first like just two of us, because we are essentially like the core team, basically. And I'm not a character designer, so trying to come up with these characters, it was difficult for me to try to imagine how a person would look like with a certain personality.
Right.
So I was asking around. I have a few friends who do character design, and they were like, okay, but what if you think about it this way? Look at something like Beastars.
Yeah.
Certain animals have certain characteristics, they have certain personalities, and from there you can sort of imagine what they look like. So that was like, okay, so that was sort of like a turning point for me.
Yeah.
And that was how I kind of went about trying to associate animals with certain characters.
Right.
And then eventually we got our 2D artist in, and my 2D artist Jane, she's also a friend of mine.
Yeah.
She's been honing like sort of this really stylish art style for a long time.
Yeah.
And I told her about, like, okay, what do you think about having animals as characters? And she was like, let's go for it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, the animals sort of like replicate the show the type of person or personality the character is based on that. Okay. So why is Mai an owl?
Because originally Mai was supposed to be a designer.
Oh, okay.
And because a lot of us as game devs and designers, we basically work the midnight oil. We burn the midnight oil. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So in this game as well, she's basically working the night shift.
Right.
And that's why she's an owl.
That's why it's owl. So why is Ro a husky, I guess?
So for the dogs, we wanted it to be like, okay, they're chefs, they make food, they make drinks.
Why are dogs chefs?
Because they have really good noses.
Oh, okay. I vibe with that, yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how we came up with it.
Yeah.
We wanted like we knew the cafeteria. We also wanted them to be friendly enough. And we all know, like, when we see dogs, like, oh my god, hi, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we knew, like, for the cafeteria, at first I think we wanted like otters.
Yeah.
I don't remember why that idea like kind of got pushed away. But yeah, now we have dogs. So
Now we have dogs.
Yeah.
So there's no otters in the game anymore?
No, but I mean, if you want otters, we can put it in.
Yes, I want an otter. Hello, otters and a rabbit. Tash buddy. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do
Yes!
that.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. All right.
We'll name her Tash as well.
Oh, for real? Okay, I can't wait for my Easter egg. Come on, that I did have one Easter egg situation where I came out in the game. I do not remember what that game was, but it was pretty epic. Unfortunately, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. But anyways, coming back to the game here. So you have. I'm guessing that this guy here has. I mean, every person has their own role. I'm guessing this guy is the one who would be selling all the healing stuff, I guess.
Yep. So how we've sort of separated is that the twin huskies, they basically they make drinks in the
Yeah.
front, but actually they're also like sort of like potion makers.
Yeah.
And they help you create like healing potions and other permanent upgrades.
Yeah.
So they also do your gun upgrades as well, where you can swap out parts.
Okay.
So originally we wanted to have like different guns that you can pick between, but we felt like, oh, okay, why not we have different parts that people can switch up, and they can find a certain play style that suits them.
Oh, I like that. I like that idea a lot. I don't remember which game had this, but it's like every single part is interchangeable and it changes either the power, the play style, or even the aggression of each weapon as well.
Yep.
So is this something that we can expect to see in this game as well? And oh my god, I love that time and time sign. It reminds me of like the kopitiam signs.
So everything here.
Yeah.
So basically, that's the main chef, Uncle Eon. We have to call him Uncle.
Oh,
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yes. I have the wall in the back there too.
Exactly.
The rice container, I love that. The big vats of soup. I love that attention to detail.
He's basically that one hawker uncle that you see in like Singapore and Malaysia.
Yeah.
Basically Southeast Asia, you go up to them and like, Uncle, I would like one of these, and they're
They
a
all
bit
ice
grumpy.
satu, uncle.
Yeah, basically. They're a bit grumpy, but once you get to know them, they give you their special menu,
This is the
that kind of
perfect
thing.
dog. This is the perfect dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks to my 2D artist. She was the one who decided like, okay, let's bring out a Saint Bernard because he's supposed to be a little bit like rougher,
Yeah.
a bit colder at first,
Yeah.
but once you get to know him, like he's okay.
Yep,
Yep.
that's right. I
So
love that.
Eon basically handles all the traps and towers.
The
Yeah.
traps. Okay, so I did see that just now, the traps that you guys were handling. So how does that work here? Is it kind of like, so I've played a game called Amnesiac Adventurer. That was hard. That was a very, very hard game. So basically it's about kind of like you have already explored the tower, but so now that you don't remember what happened, you must retrace your steps and basically unsolve everything backwards. That was a bit too hard for me. But from what you guys have shown, it does have a similar sort of style where you have to like put down the traps. You guys have to kind of like prepare for what's going to happen. I did see those people, walking inside the building as well. So how does that work? What is the mechanics behind that gameplay?
So basically, unlike Amnesiac Adventurer, you go in and you have some time to put down your traps and defenses. Initially, before you get into the level, you get like a preview of who's coming,
Right.
What you can expect from that enemy.
Yeah.
So we give you a bit of time to put everything down and prepare. But it doesn't mean that once the wave starts, you don't get to put anything anymore.
Okay, that's not too
we want people to be able to kind of strategize as they go.
Right.
I would say our gameplay is more like Orcs Must Die.
Sorry?
Orcs Must Die.
Orcs Must Die.
Yeah. So Orcs Must Die was a big inspiration for Overhours in terms of gameplay, because both of us, like, we really like tower defense hybrids.
Yeah.
Orcs Must Die was one of the few games that we played a lot together. And when we were coming up with this game as well, like, I think as developers, we also want to have concepts that are new.
Yeah.
But as like since this is our first commercial title,
Yeah.
we also don't want to come up with something that's so new that people don't really understand it.
Yeah, that's really good.
So we wanted to come up with a tower defense gameplay that feels familiar.
Yeah.
But with like the art style and sort of like the characters, we wanted to put a fresh new look to tower defenses.
Right.
Yep. So so now Joshua is actually in the first level.
Right.
So now he's gonna start putting down traps and towers.
So that's
those,
the preview.
Yeah, so those silhouettes are just sort of preview of where the enemies, what paths they're gonna take.
Yeah.
And you see that ring around. Go back down. Sorry.
Yeah, that ring
Oh,
just now.
yeah, that ring. So that ring is actually for you to refill your ammo.
So you
Yeah.
have to go in there to refill your ammo.
Yep. So you can, as long as you stand in the ring, you can basically actually stand in the ring and just keep shooting, and you will
Okay.
never run out.
I see. Does the reload actually take a while to reload, you think?
No, it's pretty instant. So okay, let's watch him finish it off. 3,
Okay.
2, 1, 0. Go back in 10 again.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
quick. That's really quick. So I did see there was a dash mechanic as well, I believe. So there was that. It kind of like gives me I don't know, a little bit of transistor vibes as well, which I super enjoyed. One of my favorite games of all time. And I also really like the fact that you can put on those traps as you go. So let's talk a little bit about skill ceiling, because I think that was one of my biggest gripes with some indie games is that it's not very hand-holdy. It's kind of like you go in, they expect you to really understand everything from the beginning. And I think also, like I mentioned about Amnesiac Adventure, one of my biggest problems with it is that it was just so difficult for me to do that I was only able to do one level and I finally abandoned the game. I think that's such a shame. So for beginners who don't really play tower defenses, how is this going to be?
So previously, like when he first started the game, that was basically a tutorial level, and we basically run you through every single thing. So we teach you, we sort of give them prompts on like where to put the towers, where can you actually put the floor traps, and then we try to show them like, okay, when you sell it, there is like a little bit, you don't get your full price, full refund.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a cut as well.
So if you put down a trap and you want to sell it again,
there's a little bit of a cut.
So you have to really think about where you want to put this. Okay, so there's no difficulty slider, so it's kind of like a progress and figure it out as you go sort of thing?
Yeah. So because for me, I think that was pretty important for me because I wasn't a gamer like my whole life.
Yeah.
I got into games pretty late because Asian parents.
Yeah.
So when I started like playing these games, it was like when it came to games that were really difficult.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to play them.
Yeah.
And then like that turning point sort of came when Hades came out.
Yeah.
And like it's a roguelite. Like when I told him I wanted to play Hades, he was like, "You're not gonna like it because that's just not the kind of game you go for."
Oh, that's the same thing that everyone said to me as well, because they're like, "You don't like roguelike, you're gonna die all the time, you're gonna rage quit all the time. It's a bit more difficult." But the thing is, I still enjoy the game. I can die 10 million times, I'll still enjoy the game.
Right. So that was kind of what I wanted to make sure with this as well, is that we're not sort of going for that audience that love hardcore strategy tower defenses.
Yeah.
But we wanted to have something that attracted a different sort of audience where they can come in and it feels a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
So we've actually had like quite different audiences come and try our game, especially at Level Up.
Yeah.
So there were a certain audiences that were more attracted to the art style.
Right.
And they're more casual gamers.
Yeah.
And then we had hardcore tower defense and shooter players who came in. Yeah.
Right.
So even between those two, I would say the more casual players, they still felt like, okay, there's a little bit of difficulty.
Yeah.
But they still felt like, okay, I think I could get into this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I remember at Level Up KL, you had a little board of which character is the most attractive. Did you figure out who won?
Yes, it was one of the Huskies.
It was one of the. I mean, to be fair,
he won by 1 point.
To be fair, he is quite attractive. I have a lot of feelings when I first saw him, which I shall not talk about on this live stream. Might not be appropriate, but let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit more about that. So let's talk about story. Now we talked about gameplay. We talked about how this kind of like will change over time. Clearly, I have a feeling that as the game goes by, you'll have access to more sorts of traps, more sorts of contraptions. But how fast is the progression? Let's talk about a little bit more about that. But how fast is it to really change or get better at this game, or the game gets more interesting or bombastic?
I guess I can say that with each level you unlock, at first we want to keep it a little bit slow, so you will unlock things a little bit slower, and we try to feed you a little bit more of the story.
Yeah.
But as you keep going, then I think as you collect more and more of your rewards, you will get to upgrade, you will get to buy new traps, and from then on, even if players want to get into this without caring about the story at all, they can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you also mentioned that with the upgrades for the weapons, does this mean you can also upgrade the traps as well?
Yes, you can.
Oh, that's exciting.
Like currently we don't have that actually in already.
Yeah.
Since what you're seeing here is like a pre-alpha demo.
Yeah.
So we're still quite early in development, and we, especially after doing like a few game shows, we do have a lot of progress to make. But yeah. Sorry, what were we talking about again? I have completely.
It's okay, you so down. It was about the progression, rather, on the upgrades and all that kind of stuff that you can get in the game. Like how long till it gets more interesting? Because I remember when I played games like Final Fantasy 16, in the beginning it was like very basic attacks, right? But as you progress, you see more flashier, bigger, bombastic. At what moment in the game do you start to see that?
I would say maybe after the first 4 or 5 levels.
That's actually quite recent.
Yeah,
It's enough to hold my attention, I have to say.
We've also had some people say that, oh, your dialogue is too long.
Yeah.
So we will work on that.
Yeah, that is honestly a problem I had for Genshin Impact as well. Sometimes I just want to get into the action. I don't really care what they have to say. But, as someone who still is interested in the story, I do want to read it, but sometimes it's a little bit too long. Again, attention span's not that great for all of us. So really hoping to see that. Hopefully you'll be able to figure that out as well.
Yeah.
I would love to see more, I would say if I may, is like, during those battles, we could see some of that happen as well, kind of like, oh my god, there's a little bit of a tidbit here and there. It's kind of fun as well to watch and see. But again, let's talk a little bit more about story. You mentioned like just now the story had a little bit more too much dialogue, and I understand because you guys want to be able to tell the story properly and cleanly so people can follow. So like right now, I mean, is there going to be any animation, or is it still going to be like the dialogue plus the character on the side?
There will be animation. There will be just very slight animations. I would say a little bit like Persona.
Ooh.
Where there's a little bit of like eye blinking, maybe a little bit of head movement.
All right.
But those for the dialogue, we're gonna keep them like 2D, so you can really see the characters in their full glory.
Yeah. Is there also going to be like, say, like sometimes when I play Genshin Impact, another problem that I had was more of like, sometimes I don't really pay attention when I'm talking about, oh my god, I missed out. Is there a way for me to still, come back to that dialogue and try to remember? Is there like a until now sort of like storyline going on?
Well, that's a good point. Maybe we'll put that
in. A journal, right?
Yeah.
A journal. Yeah. You gotta help me with my ADHD. I feel like it's always happening to everyone now. So that's also something a lot more to talk about. But let's talk a little bit more about, like, what else can you tell me about this game?
Let's go. Okay. So right now, since I've been going off and on, like talking to you and watching him play.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do with this game as well, which a lot of people actually did not pick up on, is that we want you to be able to strategize.
Right.
So there are a few people, like a lot of different players have come in and tried the game. We've seen like completely different play styles all the way.
Yeah.
So one of the ways we want people to play this is to be able to strategize and to block off certain paths.
Yeah.
Which I think I can understand maybe at this point is not that clear. But like what you can see that he's done sort of like down there with the barriers, what he's done is he's sectioned off the other parts so he can now funnel them into one path and basically get rid of them all like sort of in one go. Yeah.
Right.
We've also had people come in and play in a way like they only place like those spike traps.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing they do.
That sounds like me. That sounds like me. Like a slow, who cares? I just want the damage, Who cares about the rest?
But that was also the thing we wanted to try and achieve with this, is that we want people to be able to play in as many different styles as they can and find something that is comfortable for them and that makes them want to come back. And let's say like you finished like level 1 and let's say you only had 3 stars, 3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
We want you to be able to get out, let's say upgrade, buy new weapons, come back and redo that, but in a different style.
That is fun because for Overcooked I have this problem where you want to achieve that 5 stars, but sometimes in Overcooked it's not necessary, it's more about skill, but this one is more about the limitation you have in terms of your weapons and your items, and I like the idea that I can come back and get 5 stars anytime I want.
Yeah, basically.
So do I get an achievement for that? Getting every single 5 star?
Yes, so with every level we have sort of like a rating system.
Yeah.
Maximum would be 5. And then let's say you get 3, you get a good amount of rewards that are enough for you to go and upgrade and buy maybe 1 or 2 new weapons. But if you get 5, you will get bonuses, and then you can keep going from there. You can do more and more upgrades.
Right. So is it possible for me to farm money just by doing, over and over again one round?
You actually could. Yes. At the moment, because
that's kind of cheesy.
because what we've done is also try and get a lot of inspiration from Ox Must Die.
Yeah.
And basically, you can do that with Ox Must Die.
Right.
So, like for example, here you can see 2 time vows.
Yeah.
So there are a few criteria listed there that tells you, okay, what have you not achieved, and this is why you only get 2 time vows. So if you get everything, then you get bonuses on top of what is already there.
Right. So we did talk about a little bit more about your story just now, about how time is an asset for them. But can we talk a little bit more about like, just a little bit more of a synopsis just for people to really understand like what is the end goal for this game?
The end goal for this game, so I think to understand the end goal also, I want to go a little bit into like how we came up with the story.
Yeah.
Basically, how we came up with this concept was during the pandemic. I think a lot of people were going through like the overtiming,
Yeah.
and a lot of people
crunches.
crunching. Yeah, but it's like we all know crunching is there. We cannot avoid it.
Yeah.
So we actually had one friend who kind of went through it quite badly.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, why not we use that as sort of an inspiration for this? We wanted to tell that story, but we don't want to be like, oh, don't crunch, don't do this, like
Yeah.
it's bad, it's not in your face, kind of give you a life lesson.
Yeah.
But we wanted to put it in a more satirical way, a bit like
A lesson.
a bit like oh no, what's that game? Going Under.
Oh, Going Under. Okay.
There are a lot of jokes thrown out,
Yeah.
but it's like it's ironic, it's satirical,
Sounds
and
like
that's
High
what
on
we're
Life
going
too,
for.
actually, when you think about it. Yeah, I love those games. I love those games that, they say that it's more of like an I told you so moment and that kind of stuff, but it's not very in your face to
Basically.
make you annoyed, but enough for you to go, oh, I didn't think about that way, and that's always very, very fun to talk about and very, very fun to think. So right now, is your game out anywhere? I mean, at least a demo, or at least is it released?
We actually have private demos.
Yeah.
So we actually did like 2 rounds of private testing with
Right.
a few friends and a few QA as well.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we don't have a public demo. But our Steam page is live and people can actually wishlist it.
Right,
Yeah.
so the Steam page is out right now. You can look for Overhours on Steam. What about like your social media, perhaps your Discord for people who are following to know more about the game?
Yeah, we have. We're on Twitter. Basically, on Twitter, we're at CTRLD Studio. Instagram, CTRLD Studio. Let me think. Facebook as well, CTRLD Studio. Basically, we're on basically every single social media platform except TikTok.
Except
I
TikTok.
I have not gotten to TikTok yet, and I
Yeah.
will eventually.
You're gonna be like shalala. Yeah, we've seen her TikTok, so that's always very, very fun.
Yeah, actually, you can actually. There's
There
like
we
QR
go.
codes there.
Yes.
So if you're watching, please scan that.
Yeah, QR code away, guys. QR code that, and join their Discord. I think that's the best way to generate discussion and also give direct feedback to the devs as well. Because at the end of the day, a lot of indie devs do require a lot of feedback and to see what exactly people like and don't like about their game to make it optimized just for you guys. So, before we go, is there anything that you want to say to your fans or people who are supporting your game, want to see more?
Like so far, I think this is our first commercial title, and we've received a lot of good feedback and good support as well from people who have played the game and are interested to see more. I can say for now that we've had really good runs at recent game shows.
Yeah.
And we've had so much good feedback that we are going to make quite a big change to the game,
Right.
especially in terms of content, in terms of visuals. So look out for that.
Ooh.
We hope to be able to have something really big to show maybe by next year, early next year. Yeah.
Early next year. That's very soon, actually. So it's very, very soon, guys. So do follow their Discord. And if you guys are here at Suntech City, you can kind of try out. Like, there is a private demo open for people on your booth, or?
No, we actually don't have a booth
We
here.
don't have the booth
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
you guys are going to be able to meet them if you guys want to and ask more about the game. Anyways, that is all. But that is all for us. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the Indie Wavemakers over at Gamescom Asia. And after this, more indie games coming right your way. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.